Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the AllStar MMA Live. We are back and breaking down UFC 294. Incredible event. Two fighters coming in on 10 days notice. I know we're starting a little bit early, but we have to move things around. Anyways, it's even if you're watching or if you can't catch it live, you're gonna you can rewatch it when it's over. So no worries, no worries. The All Star, man, the All Star app. Every week you make picks, you gain points, you join leagues, and you win. And especially you win in JSpec's league. JSpec, it's the end of
Ooh,
the month, man. What's going on? I know you have to give away some prizes.
hell yeah, man. It's a great time. End of the month means champions, right? So one champion of the month, the person who's winning that big 16 by 20 autograph picture of Demetrius Johnson is Mitch Nixon. Congratulations, Mick Nixon. On top of that, Harris, you guys know Harris from the app already. He's already a one-time champion. He's been a champ. He's actually won 4 times, but has digressed the prizes to keep the league interesting and let other people win. I'm hooking him up with a Demetrius Johnson autographed glove, and Wild Will 22, frequent person of the show too, won last night during our watch party, winning the other Demetrius Johnson glove. So, man, DJ Gear getting passed out. But congratulations to all the champs. Thank you, All Star, for the opportunity to make new friends and make the MMA community a better place.
Definitely. And if you are not on the app, you can go in the description right now and download the app. The link is there. It's free. Like there's nothing you have to pay for. It's absolutely free. You go in there, meet like-minded people, people that love watching the UFC, that love watching sport or combat sports, MMA and whatnot. And you make picks and you can win prizes, man. There's always good vibes in there. And like you said, there's always prizes. Like where can you win Demetrius Johnson autographed gloves, right? Now maybe those two guys have to face off to win each other's glove, so you can have the pair. Maybe you
Like a,
could have that go on.
that'd be awesome.
Rival Harris versus who? Who's other there?
Mitch Nixon,
Mi-
Mitchard Nixon. Sorry, Mitchard Nixon. Excuse me, at
Mitchard
Mitchard
Nixon,
Nixon.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mitchard
So
Nixon. Shout out to him for winning the glove. And Harris, we already know him. He's a legend. He is the master, man. If you just could go in and pick what he picks, you probably do pretty well in the league. So yeah, go in the descriptions, download the app, play, pick all the UFC fights. I'm gonna put the app on the screen right now. Let's look at it. All right, so we're gonna go into uh, the massive pay per view that just happened in Abu Dhabi. The main event, the lightweight world championship title was on the line between Islam Makhachev and Alex Volkanovski. Volkanovski steps in there and gets his head blown off, basically. I mean, no disrespect. Alex is a phenomenal champ, but man, Islam was ready. He studied that first fight, and and I saw people posting. I think it was Ghost Phantom. Shout out to Ghost Phantom. He's a guy that knows his sports, or he knows his MMA, and he posted a video about how Islam was using the left kick, the teep, down the line, and it was just landing right, the kick to the body, and that's what he did. He utilized the same kind of tactic and kept Volk guessing, and one of the kicks went up top and kind of got through the guard because Volk did have his hand up. It just went right above it and clipped him. Not many people are going to survive that. And much respect to Volk for stepping up on 10 days, but this is what a lot of people are telling me. They're messaging me and saying like, man, what if Volk had a full camp? There's a lot of what ifs in MMA and sports, right? What if this? What if that? You just had to push that through the rearview mirror, man, and just take it for what it's worth, because most likely we'll probably never see a third fight between Islam. But Jason, what'd you think of the finish, man? First round finish. I think a lot of people expected a decision win. Islam goes in there first round and head kicking knockout. Something that Habib never did.
man, what a huge highlight. I mean, what a huge moment for Mashev because let's be honest, like this has been an extra thorn in his side almost unnecessarily, right? Like this he's at the risk of losing his belt and creating a double champ for what? Because some other guy, let's be honest, got cut last minute, like a, you know what I mean? So there's a lot at risk for Makhachev, and he blew the competition out of the water, barring what you said, blew his head off. Like, man, I mean, it was ice cold. I've said this before, and I say it because it's an old fighting axiom that rings true. It only takes a good big man to beat a great little man. Well, guess what? Makhachev was great, and then that's what happens. And on the other side, what did you expect, folks? Like, let's be honest, for reals, I kind of seen this coming, not the devastating finish, but I had no illusions that Makhachev was gonna lose. Like, Volkanovski was at a huge disadvantage here, and he's really awesome for saving a card. He's awesome for taking a chance at glory. But there's no, like you said, John, there's no more what ifs. For him, he gets to reach old age, hopefully, nice and healthy, and look back at, I took every chance that came my way. You know what I mean? I'm proud of that.
And also, with his age, I mean, that's a factor as well. He's already 35, and there was a statistic about champions that reach the age of 34 and higher. Their record is not very good, right? It seems like that's like the drop off point for elite champions is 34, 35. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with Volk next. You know what I mean? Visibly he was frustrated after the fight, and he was frustrated with like not getting fights, and he took this fight on 10 days notice. That's the reason why. There's a lot to the story. We're not going to go too deep into it, but Islam Makhachev proving the doubters wrong. And me, I'm so interested to see like what Islam can do now, man. Like he got rid of that monkey on his back, right? The first
Yep.
fight, everybody's like, he lost maybe, and the IV, all these things, all this storyline came out of it, right? And then they get to do the rematch in Abu Dhabi, which kind of like they manifested because they were talking about it right after the fight with each other, like rematch Abu Dhabi, yeah, you know what I mean, and it happened, not the way that they wanted, but it happened, and yeah, Islam, man, it's gonna be hard to beat him, man, because like look at him, he can wrestle, and now he's comfortable with the striking, and he's winning fights by head kick knockout. Like I never expected that to happen, right? Like I think a lot of people never expect that to happen. You think maybe Islam would go in there and maybe beat him up with the hands, but we saw what happened in the first fight. He utilized, they were ready for Volkanovski, and yeah, didn't give Volkanovski time to make adjustments, and then they just went in there and chased after the finish. I don't know if they chased after the finish, but the finish came early. Let's get to some of these comments real quick, and then we will talk more about the fight. Anton Willis, yo, what's up, guys? I love the show. Even though, yeah, man, we appreciate you always, man, for coming on and watching live. Derek Gates, I've been following Habib and Islam and the rest of the crew as long as Habib made his debut in Nashville. I remember when Habib brought Islam over to AK, and Javier said one day he would be continuing a champ and talk high. Of course, man. His high kicks then. Okay. So he was talking about high kicks back then. I guess you know,
Secret.
it's something that was one of his specialties, which is great to see. I love it, man. Yeah, man, I'm excited for Islam. Who should he fight next, do you think? Do you think he should fight um Gaethje or Oliveira? Dana says Oliveira.
Dude. So immediately, I mean, poor Volkanovski is not even barely off the mat, and the people, I'm just reiterating the voice of the people, start saying stuff. And I felt like the general reaction, the better reaction was towards Oliveira. I more people want to see Oliveira versus him, but of course, people do understand that the injury, the cut, was pretty ugly, and the UFC and champions and other people have timetables, so we can't hold up the line. But what the people want, I'm pretty confident I can say that they would prefer Mr. Oliveira. But hey, what the hell, man? You're gonna ask for a Gagey the world championship? Pfft, yeah, dude, the dude bangs every fight. So yeah, man. Like, I don't think we lose. Like, to flip a coin, Oliveira, Gagey, oh, boohoo. Like, whoever we get, it's gonna be great. So yeah, personally, Oliveira.
I think Oliveira, I think Oliveira doesn't really have a chance, to be honest with you. I think
I,
he has
I,
a chance. He's a phenomenal fighter, but that first fight, he got steamrolled, and I don't know. In the second one, I just feel like even especially after this performance against Volk, I just think that Islam doesn't need to fight Oliveira again. I think he should fight the BMF. You know what I mean? The BMF is the guy, right? And then they could promote it that way as well. Um, didn't seem like Oliveira really wanted to go to Abu Dhabi, and I wonder if the UFC is just going to continue putting Islam in Abu Dhabi, which kind of sucks because what he's going to fight once a year. You know what I mean?
well,
Like it doesn't make
I
any
mean,
sense.
John, you're pulling me into a whole nother discussion because the fans nor I am happy about Abu Dhabi. I'm sure we're going to talk about that later. There's so much to talk about the Abu Dhabi effect on this card, dude. Like, I think that'd be crazy. So, what other fighters that have a legit injury have to get interims for the titles, but then this guy would get to just only fight in his preferred location once a year, whenever. Like, yeah. Also, the only reason why I don't want Gagey and the BMF thing is because what does this BMF belt become the number one contender belt all of a sudden? Like, I don't want the belt to become legitimate or connected to the world title in any way. There you go.
Yeah, but it's all about promotion, right? It doesn't really have to be connected to the title. It's just about promotion. This is the baddest motherfucker on this planet, and he's facing off against the world champion, right? Like it's all about vernacular. It's all about it's all about hype,
Yeah.
and that's what they want, right? And it seems like Dana wants Oliveira because he really wants the rematch, right? Because rematches sell as well, and uh, and I think that's what probably will happen
Especially with
unless
I was gonna say, especially with how big the Charles Oliveira army is right now,
yeah.
that's a huge fan base. You got to cash in on them, man.
But I would put Islam as like if there was a percentage, I would say 90-10 Islam in that rematch. I think Islam right now he's at that like his skill set is rounding out and his like confidence is building and he's a champion as well. I just think like it's gonna be hard to beat him, man. And I know a lot of people. I read all the comments, and a lot of people come on this channel and say like we're haters of Islam and Habib and their team and all this stuff. And I don't know, what I mean,
I
I
defend
interview
Islam all the
fighters,
time.
yeah, and I interview fighters. Maybe they have an issue with Islam. Maybe they have, maybe they fought Islam, whatnot. It's just weird. Their fans are like legit hardcore, and I love it. You know what I mean? But to be honest with you, I respect Islam, and I think Islam's gonna be better than Habib. I think he might be better than Habib right now. Like overall skills, definitely better than Habib. Like when have you seen Habib go in there and use his striking? Maybe against Connor, right? He dropped Connor, but other than that, what other fight have you seen him where he was like using his striking, using strategy on the feet? You know what I mean? And not even worrying about wrestling really. Never.
Never. But
Islam can do that. Islam can say, "Hey, I don't want to wrestle today."
I,
Right?
I don't want to be this guy, but in defense of that, all right, countering to that, I would say, when did Khabib fight a guy one weight class below him to like flex? You know what I mean? Like, he didn't get the same opportunity neither.
Well, the guy with one weight class below him is considered the pound for pound best, and I think that's what Islam wanted at that moment. The 45 champ wasn't the pound for pound best, right?
I
And
understand
he
that there's
we could argue that he did beat the 45 champ because he beat up Connor, right? Like we could,
we
we
could,
could.
we could, we could, we could. I mean, I see what you're
Uh,
saying, and you know what though? I think one more fight, maximum two. I'll agree with you 100%.
all right, let's see. Now, Anton says, "What pay per view would you guys like to see Islam back in there?" Um, well, it's gonna be. What would I like? I would like Islam to go fight in the states, right? Like I think that's probably the place you want to fight. Like,
Yeah.
uh, I know in December they're going to Madison Square, or is it November? They're going to New York City, right? But I don't think he's gonna be back that quick. So most likely he's
No.
gonna be back in like March, February. I think that's when we'll see Islam. March, February, February, March, and yeah, I think it'll be stateside. Maybe Abu Dhabi, who knows? But I think it's more of like a card stateside, I think they'll utilize him because he's becoming a bigger star. Like beating Volkanovski twice makes him a much bigger star. But he needs someone like Connor, though. He needs a villain.
Yes,
Who's the
and
villain?
not necessarily. I hope not Connor because I don't want any of that. But what you're saying, John, perfect. Because to the hardcores, people are starting to realize the dude's pretty funny. You know what I mean? He's not
Oh,
just
he's
like
good. Yeah.
yeah, he's not just like a stone cold killer. Like he's pretty
No.
funny. He's like there's a personality behind the awesome fighter, which is not always the case. So once the general public gets a whiff of that and more fights stateside, oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I know a fighter that uh that texts back and forth with Islam, and he says Islam is hilarious. Like Islam, like his humor is there. It's just he just needs to show that, right? And he does show a little bit, you know, as we go along. Antoine is saying also, do you guys think the odds will be for Volkanovski versus Taporia with Alex coming off a KO loss? It's what would I say? I'd say when is that fight in January, right? What's right now? October, end of October, so November. I'd say don't take that fight.
yeah, big no, because what we're talking about, we talk about all the time. Too quick coming back from a KO, man. And
Mm,
what is Tapuria? Banger. Like, nah, like we definitely got to push that fight back, dude. Not a good idea.
yeah, for sure. But Antoine brings up a good point. They just renewed the Abu Dhabi deal for 5 more years, so I think Islam is going to be fighting in Abu Dhabi for 5 more years. So if you want to win the lightweight championship, you're going to have to go to Abu Dhabi, and I don't think a lot of people want to go, but to fight for the title, they have to go. So my prediction for the lightweight championship will be early 2024 pay-per-view Abu Dhabi, Islam Makhachev, Justin Gaethje. That's what I see. I see that fight
Hmm,
happen. But
tasty.
Dana White said Charles Oliveira. We'll see. All right, let's move on to the co-main event. Jay Speck, tell me what you thought of this fight. Usman steps up, and I think he even, for him, it was a 15-pound difference. I mean, from 170 to 185,
People do not
and
appreciate that enough.
yeah, and he goes in there against seriously the boogeyman, and fights 3 rounds with him. Um, it's without a doubt that Chimaev won the fight, right? But I think he showed, or is Usman maybe exposed some things, right? That other fighters can utilize in the future. But other than that, man, Chimaev, man, he's a beast. And Usman's a beast as well, but Chimaev is just much more bigger, and he was in camp. What you think?
Sir, repeat. Okay, once again, good, good big man, great little man. I'm not saying which one is each, but dude, this is not his weight class. Usman's weight class, that is. Usman saved the show. Hats off to him. Didn't need to add this L to his record, but he's a professional. Came in, did the job. Far more competitive than I thought. Okay, let's be honest. Going into this card, I figured it's all patchwork stuff. We got these fighters coming in last minute, just saving the day. I had very low expectations. Basically, what happened to Volk, I thought was going to happen to Usman. I'm going to be honest, but
Hmm.
instead, hey, Usman showed once again great effort. Once, like you said, John, he had some spots where he looked pretty decent, and he didn't get killed by a guy who's okay. Like it or not, people want to talk about the 170 Chimaev. That's never ever coming back. He's a middleweight. There's a huge difference, folks. Like really, 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 please appreciate the 15-pound difference between welterweight and middleweight is significant. So yeah. What else can you say? I'm happy that video that came out about him, whatever popped. I'm glad he didn't look like injured, even if he was. I think, if anything, this is one of those fights where you lose on paper, but you gained a lot of respect from the people. And that's what I feel the people felt during that fight.
If you're joining us right now live, make sure you guys drop a comment. Give your thoughts on the fights that we're discussing. Any questions, pop them up in the chat, and we'll pop them up on the screen. Make sure you guys go in the descriptions, download the app. Right now, we're utilizing the app on the screen. You can see the stats of the fight. make picks and join J Specs League to win prizes. Yeah, Usman, he took a chance, man. It just didn't work out for him. You know what I mean? Like, it's better to like lose a hard fought decision, to be honest with you, than getting finished. You know what I mean? Early, especially like a knockout or whatnot. Um, I say we're gonna see Chimaev versus Strickland. I think the UFC, they said this is for the title shot. I think this is what they wanted. They wanted Chimaev to beat Usman, who's a big name, right? Former champion, which is always great. And he's gonna ride in to fight Strickland. And I think Chimaev is gonna do some damage against Strickland. I think this is gonna be a fun fight. Strickland's gonna say some wild things, right? And the wolf is gonna come out. The wolf is gonna come out. Man, I like Chimaev. You know what I mean? I think Chimaev is a phenomenal fighter, and I think that he will be champion, right? And if he does become champion, imagine Chimaev versus Izzy comeback fight against Chimaev. Man, that's a heavy fight. And what about Duplessis? You know what I mean? That's a wild style I like to see against Chimaev as well. Man, there's so many good matchups. There's so many
Man,
fresh matchups for Chimaev
right. Uh, right when he said that, DDP's tweet came to my mind when he was like, "I'd make it look easy," and I was just
against
like,
Chimaev.
I think that's what he was tweeting. That it was just little context, but it was during the fight, so I think
No,
that's what
but
he.
I think
Yeah,
maybe he was talking. No, oh, it was during the fights because I
yeah,
remember Usman after the fight he was talking about he wanted to maybe fight Duplessis next, right? And I thought that was a response to Duplessis.
right. Oh, well, yeah,
But
because I'm pretty sure it had the 294 hash. Who cares? Whatever.
uh,
Duplessis is hot and in the mix. Like I think he could,
yeah.
like, dude, like right now, there's a hot like almost there's like 5 dudes that could all like wipe each other out. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and
But
Usman, I think he should build into the middleweight division. He should leave the welterweight division. Clearly, he can compete. He just needs, I think, with a full camp and his body healed a little bit. I think he's smart enough to fight a lot of these guys. And he looked at if you looked at him in the fight, it wasn't like he was chubby. He was still like jacked
I
and
wanted
fighting
to
at
say that.
185.
I was definitely wanted to touch on that. He looked amazing, right? Like he really
Yeah.
did. But let's be honest, today's middleweights are huge, and he looked like a total weight class different
Yeah.
in there. So I'm not really sure of that. I'm, just, I'm not sure if middleweight's a good place for him.
Well, let's get to some of these comments, right? Let's go to this. MKRMMD says Muslims are just the best fighters. It's a fact. Well, they are, but then you could say that about the American fighters and a lot of countries, Brazilians, right? Because when you think about it, I was looking at the champions and
If it's
even the top 15. They're not really. There's only one Muslim champion, and then like the top 15 of all the divisions, there's not many of Muslims in there. To
hate
be
to say
honest,
it,
right?
but per capita of actual blood in existence, Hawaiians are the best fighters. There's not that many of us, and we have more pros than anybody per capita.
There
Do
you
the math.
go. Bias though, right? Bias. Um, Antoine saying, personally, I would like to see Kamaru retire. It was a great fight, and I think this would be an ideal instead of retiring off of a KO. You could say that, right? He's not the youngest guy, but Usman's not retiring anytime soon,
I
right? And
was
also, I
just
don't
about to
like to
say that.
say fighters to retire.
I'll
I
also
think,
Kamaru's at the top of his pay grade right now, man. Like
yeah,
these are the golden moments of a fighter. These are the fights that sometimes they fight a little too long. You know why? They're securing their position in life. Every one of these fights, especially this one for Usman, was retirement altering.
I wouldn't be surprised if he renegotiated his contract before this fight because it was on short notice, right? That gives you some power
Hell
to
yeah.
get paid more. And he probably told them like, "Yo, I'm gonna stay at middleweight. Like, I'm gonna
Oh
go
yeah.
to middleweight, stay there, win or lose, and chase after the title." And
Yeah.
he's a good fighter to have in that mix at middleweight, right? Like middleweight, there a lot of the contenders have went up to the title and lost. Izzy kind of cleaned out a lot of the dudes, and Usman would be a nice little addition, especially with the skill set, and he doesn't have to cut all that weight, that extra 15 pounds. I think it'll be helpful. But who knows, man? We'll see in the next couple of fights. MD saying, want to see Gaethje versus Islam? Of course, man. That's what I was saying earlier. Antoine, do you think Hamzat can go 5 rounds if he can submit Sean? He was looking a little tired against Kamaru. Yeah, that's a issue right there, right? Is the
Mhm.
cardio. Can the cardio last? But man, I think that he's not gonna need cardio. I don't think that he's gonna go into championship rounds, right? It's gonna be it'd be hard. You need somebody that's like, you know, that's gonna be able to like scramble with you, like a Gilbert Burns. You know what I mean? Like a Usman, someone that can scramble and defend the wrestling really well. You know what I mean? And can grapple so they could get back to the feet and go toe to toe on the feet. I don't know. I don't know if Sean Strickland's gonna be able to do that, right? We'll see. We'll see. But
I'm
like I
for the
said earlier, I
chaos.
think 90-10. Um, what's this? How do you say it? Sir, don't count out Sean in that title fight. He can set a pace for that fight if he's yeah, his takedown defense is right. His pace is good. Yeah, possibly. You're right. You make a good point.
I'm for Strickland keeping that belt and just causing chaos as much as possible.
All right, so we got something here. Did you hear Sean Strickland say Hamzat does not deserve title shot? Sean didn't deserve title shot. Yeah, it's like you don't decide who deserves a title shot,
Yeah,
right?
Uncle
And
Dana
yeah,
decides.
yeah, and Sean didn't deserve a title shot. Kevin, what's going on, man? Appreciate you. Go follow Kevin. He knows all about the injuries and recoveries and treatments and everything like that for athletes. Seems no coincidence that Hamza can't just run through legit good, smart fighters. Yeah, it isn't because he's still developing. I think he's developing. He's what? How many fights does he have? Like 10, 11? Yeah, he doesn't really have many fights, man. Oh yeah, well, he has 13 fights. Like,
13
that's not
fight,
that many. You
but
know what I mean? He's
also
good.
like once you reach the top of the mountain, man, you're talking about the very best in the world. It's not they're not gonna he's not gonna have the same gap, like, so
Yeah,
it's natural.
for sure. Yeah, so with Hamzat, I say that we could quite possibly see them fight on the same card again. Hamzat co-main event, Strickland, and then you got Islam versus Oliveira or Gaethje. Looks like it's gonna be Oliveira because that's what Dana wants. But we never know because Dana doesn't always get what he wants, to be honest with you. So we'll see. Now let's move on to the next fight because the next fight was the one where it was just the weirdest things were happening in that fight. Um, the fight didn't even ever get started, to be honest, right? It was
No, it
just
was
it was Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker, a fight that a lot of people anticipated would be a pretty good matchup, and it just ended in how long? 3 minutes and 13 seconds with the accidental illegal knee ends in a no contest. J Spec,
Mhm.
talk about this one and what you saw happen.
So it's almost word for word what you said, but basically, I'll get to the controversy part, right? That's the juicy part. We'll get to that. So obviously, the guys are messing around. There's no big moments yet, and there there's a moment in time where okay, so I got to rewind the clock just a little bit. Earlier in the night, there has been a precedent set for using the hands down system, gimmicky defense. You guys know the knees to the head and the gimmicky defense of keeping your hands on the ground. So there was that kind of going on through the night, and then something like that almost happened, but Walker was actually legitimately down. His knee was down. Also, like it was one of those situations where I think, let's be honest, this wouldn't be happening if the rules were better. The fighters are exploiting a loophole in the system, and it's making shit happen. So let's just talk about that for half a second. Now, moving on. Now, Ankalaev strikes Walker illegally with his knee, and that's what it is. So at this point, the ref gets in the mix, stops the fight as he should, and this is where things get weird. Everything starts getting weird from here. So usually at this point, the ref will either call in the doctor to check on the fighter, and then he'll deduct a point, or he won't, which he chose not to, which is not weird. Okay, it happens. A lot of people are calling for that point deduction to happen because this changes the course of everything there forward. So, as the process of the doctor checking on Johnny Walker, the fouled person goes, what the doctor is looking for in those things, people are like, oh, he doesn't have a cut, this or that, which he actually did, is concussion, right? Because it's a foul shot. They're checking if there's a concussion. Now, I'm speculating. Now, I'm just adding my own 2 cents in this. These are two men whose English is their second language. Let's be honest, right? And the doctor asks a very pointed, formal question: "Where are you?" or abouts, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And then Johnny Walker says, and once again paraphrasing because I don't have a direct quote, I wasn't there. It was, "I'm in the desert." Like he was joking around because I'm in the desert. I'm in Abu Dhabi, right? He's using slang English because he's comfortable with. The doctor interprets that as literal and goes full medical on him and goes, "Oh, he's concussed. He doesn't know where he is. He gave me the wrong information." Like, and just jumps to, "Nah, this dude is not fight ready." Tells the ref he can't continue. I'm calling it. Like, he's cognitively not there. And the snowball of shit just continues to continue on. Walker gets pissed off. He shoves one of the refs, not super hard, but still, you big, huge no, John. Like, you cannot touch the refs, to the point where it gets so heated. Uncle Dana has to jump in the ring. And this is where I thought was crazy because Walker was hot. Walker was like challenging everybody. And Uncle comes in and looks him straight in the face. And he's like, "Stop it. Stop it. Calm down. Stop this shit. I got this." And Walker, like a child, calms down, goes back to where he goes and calms down. And then Dana diffuses the problem. It gets all weird. Turns out to be a no contest, like it kind of should be, given how weird everything went. And hopefully they run it back. So there you go. But I just want to say, John, at this point in the night, this is the straw. This is the cherry on top of the shit pie that has been the officiating / regulatory commission of Abu Dhabi. And this like really pissed off fans and just added, like I said, this real crown to the overall turd cake that we had going on.
Yeah, the doctor, yeah, I don't know. He had a couple mistakes on the
Mm-hmm.
night, right? He was the one that told Victor Henry that he did not get hit in the.
Trying to convince a man he did not get blasted in the
Yeah,
nuts.
that was very, very odd, right? Like that's incompetence. Kevin, he's saying that gotta know if the ring doctor has worked MMA fights before. I feel bad that Walker didn't have the benefit of the Portuguese translator when Doctor was. Yeah, exactly. That's also another problem. But Walker doesn't need a translator. He
No,
speaks English good, and I've spoken with him face to face before. His English is good. Like he
it's
could tell
good.
you.
Yeah, so he's comfortable with slangs, but the doctor didn't
Yeah,
catch that. Like,
yeah. The doctor is just a complete idiot. Like I don't think he's a fight doctor. I don't think he's a real ring doctor because if he was, he would understand that. Like it's not like the first time they've been to Abu Dhabi. They've been to Abu Dhabi many, many times. There was Fight Island. There was events going on all the time. Where are those doctors? How come those doctors weren't utilized?
UAE has fights all the time.
It was it was funny like how after they called it off, both guys still wanted to fight each other. It's just
Oh,
odd. Like they thought that the fight was gonna continue, and then don't they know what this means? This means it's over. Like everything is done. Like they thought this meant, okay, we're gonna continue fighting. No, it just shows you like a lot of people don't know what the rules are. Maybe I have no idea, but this whole card was riddled with referee mistakes, illegal moves utilized, and doctors being idiots. Like that's what UFC 294 is known for until we got to like the co-main event, right? It was just doctors being idiots, referees not knowing what they're doing, and just being on. They're like going rogue, right? They're just going rogue and just doing whatever they wanted to do,
ref
and
doing whatever, doctor doing
and
whatever.
and fighters just grabbing gloves, grabbing fences, kicking the other fighter in the nuts multiple times. It's just it's sad, and it's sad that we get into this, and Antoine is saying people are saying that Magomed is the most yeah, his last fight was a draw for the title, and this one is a no contest for like basically a title shot. Like if he wins,
Mhm.
he could be up there for the next title shot, right? So it sucks for Ankalaev. It sucks for Johnny Walker too, man. That they have to go through this. They prepared for weeks and weeks and weeks to
Yeah.
get a no contest because of a mistake of another human being. It's just very shitty. Derek Yates is saying even if he said Abu Dhabi, still wrong. He was in UAE. I would have said Abu Dhabi. Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like you can get confused, right? A lot of people get confused, right? They don't know. They don't know the difference between some people think Abu Dhabi and Dubai is the same place. Some people
Just
think UAE is the same place as Abu Dhabi, right? Like they're just ignorant, you know what I mean? Not in a bad way. It's just they just don't know. Like they didn't never really look. Like even me, I was confused in the beginning as well. Probably still confuse myself with this, but yeah, very very shitty result, and sucks for Johnny Walker and Ankalaev. I say we put the fight back together. I think that's what Dana White's gonna probably end up
run it
doing.
right back
Yeah, they're gonna run it
immediately.
right back on another pay per view, and uh, and that's it, right? Let's go to the next fight coming. That was on before that. It was between uh, a guy with some decent hype, right? You got what is Aleskarov, right? You got Aleskarov versus Warley Alves. Aleskarov goes in there and man, he just does what everybody expected him to do, right? The hype continues. He goes in there and finishes Alves. I thought Alves, it seems like he just can't handle guys with like blistering power. Well, not many guys can handle guys with blistering power, but yeah, it wasn't the best result, you know what I mean, for him. Wally Alves, I think he stepped up. What? Oh yeah, he stepped up in weight as well for the first time
Hmm.
at middleweight, and I think he's probably better at welterweight. Yeah, I think.
That's always an automatic red flag for me. First time at a weight, even if you're going to be good at that weight class, there's a settling in process, and didn't work out.
Yeah. So with him, Ikram, flying knee to punches, incredible. Probably one of the best highlights of the night. He's uh he's 2-0 in the UFC now. He's got a finish, two first round finishes, like a straight spark knockout of Phil Hawes, and then now you got Wally Alvarez. Those are two really really good wins. But the fights that we really wanted to see him in, they've both been canceled. Right? He was set to fight Paulo Costa, that fight canceled, and he was set to fight Nasruddin Imamov, which are
Mm.
two top 15 fighters, and that fight was canceled, right? So hopefully they get him booked with another bigger name to see if he's really legit. You know what I mean? But I think he is. He seems pretty talented. What do you think?
I think he shows the talent to maybe fight good fights against those guys. I'm actually, you know what? That's funny. That's one of those times where I think it worked out for the better, to be honest. I mean, both of those guys mentioned are not easy outs, and to take that on, even if you are really talented, to take that on like right away, right when you get into the league, probably not the best. Like honestly, like fight these other guys, get those dubs, maybe have a better contract when you go fight a Paulo Costa or somebody in the rankings like that. You know what I mean? I don't know what his contract is, but just say it's always good to have a couple wins, know you're solid, and then take on a big name opponent, because now people are also going to be paying attention. Like I am, like I'm. I'm definitely he's on my radar now. I remember that first knockout, but whatever's this one definitely caught my attention.
All right, let's see some of these comments. We have Antoine saying, also, do you guys think Bo Nickel and Chimaev ever face off? I think Bo is going to be pushed to the top 10 or top 5, like how Cyril Gahn was, be ranked number 4 with a 7-0 record or something. What do you think? Do you think they're going to fight?
Yeah, because I think the people want it, and that would be good. Like I think that'd be a good one. But I think what he's saying is probable. Like I think them fighting is probable, but I disagree with the fast tracking. I think they're gonna they already have a gem in Chimaev. They want to make sure they really have a fan base, a pulse, a buying public for Bo Nickel. That's what's important.
There you go. And yes, so there you go with the Johnny Walker, actually Ikram. We solid prospect. Better keep your eye on him without a doubt.
Right.
The last fight on the main card was Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Muin Gafurov, right? Muin Gafurov, he was uh he was hyped, man, a lot, and now he's sitting on back-to-back losses in the UFC. And this one, he actually had a full camp, and he was submitted by Saeed, and it was like his specialty, like Saeed's specialty, like his his little guillotine style ninja choke. What was it? Yeah, was it? Yeah, a guillotine, right? Guillotine choke.
Look how modified guillotine, but it looks like a front
Yeah,
rear naked. Yeah.
yeah. It's a great move for somebody that's dipping in with their head, trying to take him down. He's done it many times, a few times, right, to some of the high level grapplers. So hey, there you go, Saeed. He's so good. But he's always like right there, but he's never like in that top 10. Like he's never like he's right there, but he's never in that top 10. I wonder when that's gonna happen because the guy is legit talent. It's just, what I mean, he's fighting. He shouldn't be fighting Muin Gafurov, to be honest with you.
But let's be honest, John. Let's be honest. Look at the matchmaking on this card. Look who the fighters are. Look who the arena was. There was a lot of
Yeah,
soft pitch. There was a lot of soft pitches.
setups.
Yes, exactly.
There you go,
Setups.
setups. Right. So good work by Saeed. Right. If you guys are joining the stream now, or you guys are listening on the replay, make sure you guys download the AllStar app. All the stats, picks, news, everything is on the app. You can customize it. It's on the screen right now where you're looking at it. And yeah, so join the league too, JSpecs League. He just gave away 2 signed UFC gloves, DJ Demetrius Johnson, for the winners of this month, right? So next month we'll see some surprising new new items, right, for up for grabs. So make
Oh
sure you
yeah.
guys join that in, right? So we had the prelims, right? Prelims had a couple good matchups. The first one we should get into is the next guy, Tim Elliott versus um Mohamed Makhachev. So Mohamed Makhachev is probably one of the most talented grapplers that we've probably seen in that flyweight division, and he can utilize it, and he's shown it, against high level guys, and he went in there and got the submission over a highly ranked Tim Elliott, a veteran, a guy that almost tapped out, Demetrius Johnson, fought for the title. What'd you think of this fight?
It was good. It was actually more competitive than I thought. I really like Tim Elliott. Actually, kind of a big Tim Elliott fan. But Mokaev right now looks like everything you'd want in a high value prospect, borderline challenger now. Because the dude, let's be honest, like I jumped all aboard the Mokaev hype train. I was reserved, but I jumped all on top of it in his previous fight when he was stuck in that knee bar, refused to tap, just let stuff get damaged, screw it, so he could come back and get the submission himself. Like that is warrior stuff. Like, so I know Tim's a warrior too. I just, he's a little bit higher mileage, and eventually later on in the match, Mokaev got him. But uh dude was in 2 guillotines that I thought were pretty, like, man, like he shouldn't be doing that too often. Like probably pretty risky. Like there was I think 4 attempts by Elliott, 2 of them not so much, but 2 of them were definitely like that was close, bro. So Mocha playing with fire a little bit in some cases. I think maybe he believes in his submission game so much. Maybe he really thinks he can't be tapped. But great performance, man. The guy looks like a stud. Happy for him.
Yeah, man, those moments, right? Like he can't take those risks against like high level guys, right? He did it against Tim Elliott. He most likely he thought he was safe, but you never know, man. One little mistake, Tim Elliott's choking you out. He's taking arm, right? Like he's not gonna hesitate for that. But
Mm-hmm.
Makaev, he's playing with fire and he likes it, and he's super talented. He's getting better. Um, I think that they should give him who they want, who he wants, right? He needs to be tested. A lot of guys don't want to fight him because of his style, but we'll see. We'll see what happens to Maka. But I think eventually he will become champion. He's still like only what? Let me
So
see.
young, dude.
He's only 23, and
Yeah.
he's 23, 10-0, 5-0 in the UFC, and he's beaten Tim Elliott, Phil Ho, Malcolm Gordon, Charles Johnson, Cody Durden.
Yep.
Yeah,
All my
Cody
boys.
Durden. Yeah.
Yeah, he beat all my boys. Like
So,
it's crazy. It's crazy. That's why I gotta respect him. And then on top of that, let's not forget, people don't forget, brother has like 22, 25 and 0 amateur record too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. He's experienced
mhm.
without a doubt. Kevin saying Makaev's work so far is impressive. He has shoulder dislocation prior to the Filo fight. Then that nasty knee bar for Filo. Great rehab, no surgery. Yeah, he has the support that he needs as a high level athlete, right? It's whatever he needs, I mean he's getting. He's
He's
got
taken
great
care of.
management, got great sponsors. So he's yeah, he's gonna be champ. I'm telling you right now. Like
Mhm.
people told me years ago before he even turned pro that he would be one of the best fighters in the world, and he's looking like he's becoming one of the best fighters in the world. I love it. I love watching it. Um, the rest of the card, we had the groin kick to Victor Henry that ended in a no contest. What other fight? Oh,
Same
the
same ref, right? The same ref. Just
yeah,
bring that out again.
and then um,
No, and
the
doctor.
Nathaniel Wood Naimov fight as well. That
Oh,
guy got kicked in the nuts, and no
I
point was taken. Same ref, Bozaki, I think that's his name.
yeah, dude. Like that fight. No, people aren't talking about it enough. I even posted about it, just trying to drum it up. Like, shout out Nathaniel Wood, dude. Like, what he first off, that first foul was 2 strikes, bro. Two. He got 2 knees in there. Like, and the ref was like taking a nap, took an hour to get there. Like, I don't what that was crazy. And then the fence grab by his opponent, and then the kick. Like once again, like I know the whole not intentional thing, but I'm kind of siding with Zach said the other week, like, dude, just start putting point penalties on these important fouls and watch them disappear. Take a point immediately. Like, for stuff, just come down hard on everybody for a little bit, and you're gonna see all of that stuff disappear. And I believe that because it happens in all the other pro sports. So maybe that's a solution to this stuff because it's totally unfair to Nathaniel Wood. I believe he got robbed.
Yes, I
I
agree,
never
man.
use that word. I rarely use that
Yeah.
word.
For the people that are watching live, and give your thoughts on the refereeing and the doctors, man, in this last event. I'm pretty sure you guys were frustrated and maybe even confused at some points when you're watching the card. Like, what is going on? Like, what? Why are they not doing anything about these penalties? Penalties are penalties for a reason. You don't see warnings in the NFL. There's no such thing.
F1,
Yeah. There's no
right?
such
Like,
thing. There's no warnings for anything. They just give you the yellow flag right when you do it. Yellow flag, 15-yard penalty, 10-yard penalty.
yep.
Like, we need to start having some stricter, enforcement of the rules. If we don't, people are just gonna cheat, and now it's become a thing. Like, let's just cheat until you get penalized because you can win the fight that way.
Well, look at the defense now. For like, you got your head in a dumb position and you can get it smashed in. Oh, the dumb defense in the world. Let me put my hands down on the ground. Try that in a street fight. See how that works. Like,
Yeah, but
that's
this is not a
dumb.
street fight though. Come on,
I know, but it's mixed martial
regulator.
arts. We're as real as it gets. I don't know. Ryzen does it. One does it.
Yeah,
Colorado's doing it.
there's no defense for knees to a ground their opponent because there's no such thing. You can knee people if they're on the ground. Why can you elbow people? You can't knee them. That doesn't make no sense. No sense. No sense. Yeah, we could argue about this all night. But if you have something to say, please leave it in the comments. If you're watching the replay as well, download the AllStar app. It's right there in the link or in the description below, and have some fun with sports. Um, Kevin agrees with you. He said that I think warnings should happen backstage. Then it's an auto point deduction. No excuses. Yes, it should be. But it's up to the referee, but clearly there's times where you need to take a point because it's just that's what happened. One last fight that I wanted to talk about is the Mike Breeden versus Anshul Jubilee fight. Mike Breeden, man, he comes back after losing 2 rounds, having staph infection, a pre-existing cut on his face opened up, and he comes out in the third round like a guy that was fighting for his career, barking like a dog, and Jubilee just froze. Did you feel that? He just froze?
Froze. Like he got intimidated or something. Like, we were calling it live like while it was happening, man. That was an intense meltdown. If you ever watched what happened, yeah, that was a classic sports meltdown. The psychology, I believe, just like you said, John, I felt there was a psychological switch there. He had an opponent owned, ready to be packed up and sent home, and then Breeden said, nah, like, I'm not accepting this as my destiny. Not here, not now. I'm going to give it everything I got. And I'm going to talk the noise while doing it. And it got to Jubilee. One like the talking and the punching, the combination of it. And he didn't know what to do. It was like watching honestly, it was like watching a bully walk down his scared victim. Like, and it was kind of awesome. Uh, Not for Jubilee, of course, but what a dogged, determined effort by Breeden. But did he miss weight? Was that still fight that he missed weight? Or did I
Yeah,
get
he
that back?
missed weight. He missed weight by a lot. But
Good.
then he explained after the fight that, he had staph.
Uh,
Did he have, was it staph? Yeah, he had
uh,
staph, and
uh,
then he had the cut. You know what I mean? Those are things that could deter you from, cutting the weight properly or whatnot. But it's no excuse, right? It's weight. You make weight. That's part of the game. But still, he went in there, and I don't think that 3.5 pounds really gave him too much of an advantage, right? It's not like he was looked like Ansa Jubilee was bigger than Mike Breeden, so
mhm.
you know what I mean. But yeah, Jubilee was doing great, and just Breeden, man, he just switched gears, became the dog, started barking like a dog, and just got the knockout, man. It was incredible to watch. I like Jubilee a lot. A solid guy, repping India. But man, Breeden, he just money Mike. That's all you can say about him. And I think Jubilee will bounce back. This is his first career loss, um, but he's fought in the UFC before. It's not like it was his debut. People say it's his debut, but his debut was his last fight. His last
Yeah.
fight, it was on the UFC card, so it's not his debut. It's just the level up in competition, and he's gonna learn a lesson from this. Let's see how he bounces back. We'll see. Um, what about what about you? What did you? Was there anything from the prelims that stuck out? Any
Uh
fighter?
I wanna shout out the guy who's getting a little bit of hype, on social media, the Sharabutin Magomedov, the one-eyed fighter, reminds me of one-eyed fighter I know. Shout out Jay Miley. Like, I think it's cool. I think it's really awesome that someone, with one eye or any kind of I don't even want to use the word handicap, just issue, can overcome it and fighting nonetheless, like not like one of the harder things I would bet, and inspire young folks out there that might have a physical issue and say screw it, I can still do it. And I liked it, man. I liked it a lot. uh it's kind of a little bit of a poo-poo on Bruno Silva, to be honest, losing on a curtain jerker, like after how much experience you have, kind of, but not taking anything away from Mr. Megamedov. So I was really happy to see that.
Yeah, he also had a lot of hype right ahead of the card. He was
Hmm.
posting the highlights of his kickboxing. He beat up some guy in like 5 seconds or something like that. Yeah, but Dana White said it perfect. You're from Dagestan, but you don't have takedown defense. Let's see. Let's see what happens with that. Let's see what he does with that because you know he's still undefeated. We'll see. We'll see with him. Not much to say. Maybe I'll run into him. I think I've seen him down here somewhere in Thailand. So
Sweet.
um, other than that, man, the card was good. Beside all the fouls and everything, but good card.
That's
Next
can can
week,
can we talk
yeah.
about the ugly? Just one moment of ugly.
What was
Did
it
you see Victoria Dudakova's post about her having staph infection and bleeding from like
on her
areas?
butt?
Yeah, and all that. Like,
Yeah, that's
that's so like that's so not nice. I don't even know what to say about that. Just gross and not nice. That you put a lot of people at risk.
yeah, that's a whole nother discussion of like pre-fight medicals. But I'll talk to fighters about it, I guess, and see what they think. Um, but other than that, man, uh, Kevin says, "Do y'all y'all do an outstanding show. Really appreciate you, Kevin. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody, we always appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys download the AllStar app so you could join JSpec's league and make picks on the fights, and also just to follow sports on the app. You know what I mean? You could get NBA, NFL, Premier League, just just an unlimited amount of sports, right? That you can just customize it, so you don't have to see the sports that you don't care about. So if you don't care about the NBA or NFL, like myself, I don't really care about other sports. I just have it on the fight promotions, and then everything that I look at on the app is just fight news, fight promotions, cards coming up. Yeah, and it makes it much better. You know, what I mean, I don't have to scroll through unnecessary sports and headlines and things like that.
Yeah. And for
So
me, I have mine all set with sports. And instead of having the whole NFL timeline, I just have the Niners. So you can do that.
yeah, yeah, you could even narrow it down to the teams as well. So yeah, make sure you guys download the app and do that. Next week, I think there's no UFC next week.
No UFC next week, but we
Yeah,
do
so we
have
will.
Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou.
Oh, that's right.
And I will be doing a
So
watch party for that. And we'll be doing something a little different. And I'm giving away a signed autographed pair of Buster Douglas trunks, the original long shot heavyweight
what?
champion. Yep.
That's something that I would love to see someone win. That's a crazy. How do people win?
So I'm gonna try something a little bit different this week. I'm new to it too, so we're gonna play on Kahoot, which is like a trivia based platform. And so check out my X tweets on my timeline this week. I'm new to it too, so we're all gonna goof around and play this together. And I'll do my best, and that's what we're gonna do. So doing something special and different for a very special and different fight.
Yeah, so make sure you guys go on Twitter and follow JSpec the host at JSpec the host, and you could join the spaces, join their community that they have, and and win prizes as well during the spaces. It's gonna be a good time. So, anyways, next week we will not have a show, but the week after we will be back after UFC San Paulo, right? Brazil's the next
Yeah.
stop. So you go from Abu Dhabi 1 week off, and you're back in Brazil, and the week after that is UFC 295 in New York City. John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. We'll see. We'll be doing those shows in the future. But anyways, everybody, thank you so much for joining us, and hit that subscribe if you have not, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with the crew. Thank you, J Spec.
Thank you, John. You're the best.